Welcome to a Wargroove Community Spotlight, in which we honor members of the Wargroove community who've done something interesting or creative lately. Today, we're focusing on the Mercenary. Now, the Mercenary is a new player or character that has come onto the Groove of War servers and has been challenging tournament-level players. Now, this is nothing new in and of itself. It's usually lose your first 20 games to Shu as quickly as possible. But in this case, the Mercenary has been compared to playing at the top level, like maybe they're Alsame, or the Invincible Shi, or some other high-level, tournament-level, top-level player that has made an alt account and decided to challenge everyone. Now, the result of this is that it started a bit of a local community mystery. Whenever the Mercenary appears, players are trying to guess, who is the Mercenary? Some people claim to be the Mercenary. Thanos had a particular run claiming to be the Mercenary, supported by the Mercenary posting pictures of Thanos. I can, however, confirm that they are two distinct players. There's also been a running theory that the Mercenary is just somebody new, similar to Alsame, just a very strong player who suddenly appeared on the scene, and is trying to challenge the best to see how they match up. The problem is their playstyle is just too unique, it's too incredible. The Mercenary plays at the speed of Shu, or even faster, which is crazy difficult to do because Shu is basically the human calculator of Wargroove. And they play at the level of Alsame or the Invincible Shi with openings as fine-tuned as if they came from Loveless. The only flaw I can possibly find in their playstyle is maybe they're playing too quickly and it makes them a little bit mistake-prone. But so far, they've shown an incredible grasp of the game. So naturally, with a mysterious new player who's very good coming onto the scene, I had to play a match against them and I had to interview them. I had to sit them down and find out who they were, what their motivations were, maybe who they were actually are. Are they someone's alt account or are they somebody new? Now, the interview was a little bit difficult because I was talking to the Mercenary's character, I suppose, who's an 11 on the Chunibyo scale, and they gave me this poem puzzle as a clue to their identity. I couldn't make heads or tails of it, but it's very clear that there is spacing and font and capitalization. Maybe one of our viewers can solve this puzzle or determine if it is solvable or if it's the rantings of the mad mercenary. I don't know. The mercenary offered for the interview to speak with me and use a voice changer, but for logistic reasons, we couldn't make that happen. So instead, I decided to ask the mercenary about the Wargroove competitive scene, and maybe get a feel for whether or not they're one of these old veterans of the game who's come back and is preparing for Groove of War 4. That's my personal theory. Now, when I asked the mercenary directly, look, are you just preparing for Groove of War 4? Are you testing out the skill levels of various players? I got sort of a soft confirmation. The mercenary said they are interested in Groove of War 4. They are testing the skills of various players. And they do want to fight against Shu and Alsame eventually. The mercenary seemed especially interested in Alsame, but couldn't say why. Both players have implied there's something going on between them, but haven't specified. In any case, well, what's interesting is the mercenary seemed particularly focused on Delhi score. However, Delhi score hasn't been on the server since a previous Groove of War tournament. So that confirms my theory a little bit that perhaps the mercenary is in fact an older veteran. Now regarding Deliscore, I wanted to know more about this. Why Deliscore? Most new players don't even know who Deliscore is. They've been completely absent from the server, almost never mentioned. You wouldn't even know about Deliscore if some of the older players didn't talk about them from time to time, or if there wasn't that Ash versus Deliscore match on the Groove of War YouTube channel. So I asked, and the mercenary said that they've known Deliscore for quite a while, although they don't think that Deliscore is going to come back anytime soon. It's possible maybe they might do so for the next tournament. So I wanted to ask more about these older veterans, these top players that haven't been on the server lately but dominated the previous tournament scenes. So I asked the mercenary about Ash, and of course, Zeronix. The mercenary said that they probably don't see Ash coming back anytime soon until 2.0, which Ash has publicly stated, but was very interested in Zeronix, saying that they're definitively the best player on the server. Now, this is an exact quote. They only make mistakes when they're tired or when distracted, and they've learned every single thing there is to learn about the battles of Wargroove. That is saying a lot, so I had to follow up. After all, Xeronix has been kind of around, kind of absent. Unless you've played a private game with them, you might not have seen them in a match or in a tournament, or maybe they were there in disguise. But the fact of the matter is, I had to ask if they had personal experience with Xeronix, if they played games against Xeronix. The Mercenary in particular pointed to one game where Xeronix used 1.3 Dota Dash to completely obliterate his army, cripple his anti-air, and then go in with air units and take down his entire formation in a single turn. And that was extremely impressive. Additionally, I asked the Mercenary, alright, have you taken part in any Test Your Metal tournaments lately? And they said they haven't, but they have participated in a past Groove of War tournament and are looking to do so in the future. So this pretty much confirms my theory that the Mercenary is, or is at least claiming to have the knowledge of, someone who was a past Groove of War veteran, making an alt account, obviously, because we've never seen the Mercenary before. So now let's talk about the Mercenary's playstyle, the Mercenary's gaming tactics. In our match, and it was a great match, I'm going to link it at the end of this video, the Mercenary really only backed off once. They were constantly on the attack whenever they possibly could be. So I asked if that was a coincidence, part of their playstyle, or if they think it's tactically the right thing to do. Of course, the Mercenary says it depends on the situation, but when you're given the chance to attack, and it won't hurt you more than your attack hurts your opponent, you should always do it. Thinking about it, it makes sense, because when you attack, you're given the first strike, you're attacking with higher health, and the counterattack is much lower health. It stands to reason that the attacker would have an advantage most times, as long as you're not throwing a sword into a pipeline. Now, this one I want to read verbatim, because it's pretty good, and a great ending note for this interview. I asked the Mercenary if they had any tactics or tips for our viewers who want to get better at the game. And the Mercenary said this: "The winner is always determined by one main thing, regardless of anything else you may think. You do not have to make sure that each and every one of your moves is absolutely perfect, the best possible move in that current situation, with every possible calculation and outcome. It is not necessary. You have to make sure, however, that such move will be better than your opponent's. You do not have to be a 100 to beat a 50, you just have to be a 51. And that is fantastic advice. Thinking about it, it's really the big mistakes, or the big plays, that sway a game. Small optimizations, sure, they can help, but not if you're on a timer. And if you're kicking yourself for every single, oh, I could have gotten one more sword in that attack, are you really enjoying the game? Wargroove is fun! It's meant to be about, okay, I did that, and maybe I messed up this time, but I'll get it next time. That was a great game, win or lose, enjoyable. That's what we're all here for, right? So thinking about it, this philosophy could help a lot of players not only enjoy the game more, but be better at the game. Alright, thanks Mercenary, and this has been a Groove of War Community Spotlight. Stay tuned for the next video where we show the full commentated match with my game against the Mercenary.